Well, I'm back, and I wanted to show you how to find this muscle on yourself. And this lovely armpit, huh? I've just got my arm up just as a visual. This is not how you want to work on it. Now, on the back of your armpit, you're going to feel this fleshy muscle here, which is not the muscle you want to work on. Not that it's going to hurt that muscle, but it's not going to help the subscapularis muscle. So you want to first of all visualize that that muscle is on the inside of your scapula, on the inside of that shoulder blade, and it's right against the ribs. So you want to get in there along the ribs. Now you can get there with your arm on your other shoulder if your arm goes that way, which it may not, or with your arm down. And if you twist your arm, rotate it, especially if you go all the way back, you'll really feel that muscle pop out. You want your hand flat against your ribs and push backward. Or you can have your thumb pushed all the way back there. You can feel that muscle as it goes back and forth. And this muscle can be very tender. So you want to be gentle with yourself, especially at first, and find the different tender spots. There's going to be tender spots along the outside, the side of the bone that's pointed outward and down. Not very descriptive, but this part here. But look or feel for tender spots. Work on them a little bit. How long? That's hard to say because this can be very annoying to work on and rather tiring. So it's better to work on it a little every day until it gets better. And with, like I've said, with some people, you're going to see results fairly quickly. And other people, it may take 6 weeks, depending on how tight it was to begin with. But compared to the results, the situation of not being able to move your arm very far, or not, having a good range of motion with it, you're going to see phenomenal results with very little invasive work. And it may feel invasive, but just because it's tender. But like I said, use a pressure that you can tolerate. And unfortunately, you can't really see what I'm doing here. I might mention that a referred pain that this muscle can do is if you have wrist pain on the outside here, it could be referred pain from the shoulder if you're having problems. So I'll show you other ways to work on it when I get my shirt on. Now, one way to get in there is to use a tool, and you may or may not have something laying around your house. This was a handle. It was an extension to where the paint roller went on. You could use a broom handle or whatever, and this top of it is rather rough, so I cut off the thumb of a mitten that, alas, had lost its mate, and I'd looked for it for a long time, and now that I cut the thumb off, it'll probably show up tomorrow. But I can lean into it and I'll move back a little bit, get into that area getting on different areas of the bone. Make sure you're touching where it hits the bone, not the fleshy part on the outside of the bone, meaning not the flesh, but against the bone. That muscle's pretty thin. Now, if you go too far up your armpit, if you go too high up here, there are the blood vessels and the nerves that go down into your arm, and so you don't want to get up there. If you feel sudden sharp pain down your arm, you know you've hit a nerve, and that's not fun. So you want to be down a little bit, and again, feeling for tender spots, working on those, and probably best if you have your arm down, but as you try and see where you can see me, I'm going to lower the camera a little bit. Hang on. So I'm kind of leaning into it with my arm down, and to get a feel of the muscle, you're rotating your arm in and out. That's optional. And I'll show you another way to get at that muscle in a second. So another way to get at this is sit in the chair with your arm hanging down, leaning forward, and you may or may not be able to see me. You can either use your thumb against the muscle. Again, you're feeling against the bone too. I mean, there'll be muscle and then there's bone, but you want to know that there's bone there. Or you can move your whole hand up along the side of the ribs and then push back with your hands firm. Now again, unfortunately, this can be a little tiring, so it's best that you just work at it a little bit at a time, whatever. There's no time limit on that. Whatever works, okay? You're not going to be able to do it for probably a long period of time anyway. Now, if the subscapularis muscle is tight, probably the other shoulder muscles in the back, the other rotator muscles will be tight too. Not necessarily, but probably, because the arm that does the forward motion, the opposite is backward motion, and those are behind here. Now, I'm not going to go into a big anatomy lesson about muscles, but if a muscle is tender when you push on it, it's a problem child. If you think a muscle, let me go back a second. There's a lot of referred pain in the areas of your neck area, in your whole region in here. And if your brain thinks that there's a sore spot here and you push on it and it doesn't hurt, it's referred pain from somewhere else. It's a very weird thing in the body, referred pain. For example, the subscapularis can cause pain in the back of your wrist. It's just, there's a long explanation, but just trust me, it'll seem weird. But anyway, so it's possible that a pain you feel here might be coming from back there or whatever. So, rule of thumb, if you push on an area that you think hurts and it doesn't hurt, it's coming from somewhere else. If you push on an area that you didn't think hurts but it hurts, that guy is a problem. Okay. And you can work on it by massaging it. Now, how do you massage the muscles behind you? Good question.